Hello, welcome back to Perk Industries. Yes, Perk. Instagram's a wonderful place, an inspiring place, a place full of crap as well. But if you look for the right things, the right people, maybe the right hashtags, you come across some little gems of inspiration. This is one of them. Something that sort of crept up in my feed the other day was by someone I follow called Tuesday Night Machines. A really straightforward idea that then spawned one of my own. Tuesday Night Machines had a little project on the go whereby he had a little PCB that was a mixer, very, very similar to the mixers that Racket produce, which you can build yourself, feature mini jacks in and out, and you've probably seen that on the Eurorack system that we did a few videos ago. What he did was, though, he started circuit bending it, and he started to make some modifications to the circuit in order to gain some different effects. First thing in the photo that he shows is that there is a little feedback loop where he's got a simple diagram that has an output that goes to a switch and then back to the input. Really, really straightforward feedback loop operated by an on and off switch. And yeah, feedback's nothing new. We've played with feedback before. And yeah, it just gave me an idea about thinking about how feedback might be quite useful in a lot of applications. There was discussion about one of the modules on the Eurorack car boot Eurorack modular thing, which was the paper jams section, and there's a nice little feedback drone self-oscillating sort of concept there where you can get it to feedback and then affect that feedback to get some nice interesting tones. That maybe is to come another day. The second photo in this sort of section from Tuesday Night Machines was an idea where you could in a quite straightforward way introduce some clipping or some distortion to the circuit of feedback as well. So after you've got your output, splitting off on in terms of the sort of signal chain there is another switch before two inverted diodes and going to ground, and what that will do to the signal is it will clip it, it will distort it, and it will provide some other interesting effects, some nastier sort of sounding things that you might add to a feedback loop. So the idea of a mixer and the idea of circuit bending and some little feedback loops seemed like a good one. I was thinking about maybe bending one of the Racket mixers, but I thought they're kind of in situ where they are at the moment. I'm quite happy with those. I've got a few various bits and bobs of mixers, and then it took me back to an old memory. Back in about 1995, I think I would have gone to a car boot sale and bought one of these. And this is a real photograph from the sort of mid-90s. This is a realistic mixer, a stereo disco mixer, no less. A strange thing, 2 mic channels, 2 phono channels, and a sort of tape channel as well. So it has a built-in tape out and tape in, which is its own built-in feedback mechanism. Quite simply, wire one into the other. I thought that might be quite interesting to have a play with. As well as that, though, I wanted to open it up, gut it, see what was what, see the state of it, because to be honest, I don't remember it working last time I saw it. And to see what kind of outcome we'd find. Here is a photograph of how it looked when I found it today. Now, the state it was left in here was probably just before the turn of the millennium. It clearly hadn't been used at this point, and I'd taken it upon myself to cut up copies of magazines and find stickers and decorate it. So yeah, that's clearly quite dated. So I thought we'd take some measures to actually have a look at thinking about taking off some of this, which I duly did. Took a sander to it, took off most of that, and it's got quite a nice sort of look whereby half of the original sort of paintwork made by Realistic sort of pops through, and half of the paint over the top still left, but without any of the horrible stickers. So I quite like the look of that. We kept it there. Now, here you can see what was underneath, and what was underneath was, quite an exposed array of the 5 faders, but also some surface through, some through PCB components mounted in there, which gave me hope that there might be some other interesting bends in there too. Now, these Realistic stereo mixers, you see them all the time at car boot sales. They are often quite battered, and a lot of the faders, the sort of sliding faders on this are quite crackly and have definitely seen better days. But I figured if I was making a feedback mixer, it probably wasn't going to be quite graceful. It probably wasn't going to be nice and sort of smooth working. So I wasn't particularly concerned about the noisy faders in this. Once opened up, we found a few bends. We drilled some holes through the surface to mount in switches to activate these bends. Once all finished, I popped it back together again. We got the Dymo label maker, classic bit of design kit, and labelled up some of the different features just so I could remember what the switches did. And we had a bit of a play, and some of these sounds were quite interesting. We plugged in the 5 knobs device, the Arduino device from our last video, and some other bits and bobs to just to see what we could utilise. The key feature is definitely when the feedback really kicks in, when the glitches are activated and the tape loop is also plugged in. That's when I think this thing really comes into its own. So here is the Unrealistic Mixer.